Welcome to Mad About Money. I'm Maddie Alexander-Grout, and this is the podcast where we talk to interesting people all about their interesting stories. I am joined by the fabulous Lisa Johnson, who is a second-time guest, and actually we don't do this very often.
Am I the only one?
No, we have had one person who's come back, but that was for like a Christmas money special. We were talking about like different Christmas money themes. So this is important though, because I feel like the last time we had a chat was about this time last year, and so many things have changed.
So many.
So I mean, for you, for me, like for the world, I mean, it's crazy. So for those of you who don't know who Lisa is, I'm not kind of sure what rock you've been hiding under. But Lisa, would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners?
Sure. So I am Lisa Johnson. I'm a mum of 13-year-old twin boys. I love to travel and I like to impact a lot of people. I've done that with a Sunday Times bestselling book called Make Money Online. And I also do it in a course that I do every single year, only once a year, called One to Many. And it basically helps people with the strategy of how to make money from whatever the knowledge is in your head and have recurring revenue.
And it's an amazing course because I've done it twice now, actually. I feel like I'm being greedy doing it twice, but I have to say, the first time I did it, like I wasn't in the right headspace to do it. And we've had this conversation before. I think the first time I did One to Many, I genuinely thought like, this is going to be the magic pill that solves my business. Like, apparently though, you are the only person who can solve your own problems in your business. And if you're not in the right headspace to do it, you just end up making it worse and getting yourself into another 45 grand's worth of debt like I did last time.
Yeah, because the problem is with all things strategy, anyone can give anyone a strategy, but if their mindset's in the wrong place, pointless.
Exactly. So I come from this like a new person, because when I first did One to Many, I was very close-minded. I was in a lack mindset, which wasn't helping me or anybody around me. I ended up in £45,000 for the second time and ended up having to pay it all off. And my life in the last year has changed dramatically. And that is partly due to One to Many, actually, because I redid all of my strategy stuff. I did your strategist course, which was incredible. Really enjoyed that. And now I am the proud owner of a membership, which is 325 people strong. And
Amazing.
that is the source of my mainly most of my passive income. I created a course, Amplify Your Influence, which I launched earlier this year, which went really well. I did a launch in my way, in the Maddie way, which
Everyone always says this. Like, I did take some of what you've taught me, but then I just tweaked it and did it my way.
Well, yeah, I mean, I tweaked it to my way, and then I realised that actually, I don't think my way is necessarily the best way. So I learned quite a lot from that, but really my end result last year was that I came out with over £100,000 in revenue, which for a first year of business, didn't you do 100,000 in your first year as well?
I did 100,000 in the first 6 months, 220 in the first year.
All right. Well, I'm halfway to.
You're doing all right, Maddie.
It's all right. Yes. I'm not going to quibble over 50 grand. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not that kind of person.
Let's not.
But still, and I think we need to talk about this whole course situation, because it is so game changing. And like whenever I speak to somebody who is successful, I'm always like, have you done One to Many? And they're like, yeah. And it seems like anybody who is successful in the online business space has done it at some point.
Yeah, it definitely, like, because it's been going so long now, like this is my 7th year doing One to Many, that it's bound to be that the biggest names in the space, like the ones you see are making the money, started off with this program, because it is like okay, let's start you off. And then they go on to do amazing things with other people, not necessarily me, you know, they have other coaches and they do other things, but they started off usually with me.
Yeah. And that's, you are just massive in the online space now. Like as somebody who has had many a troll, I know you've had quite a few.
Many.
Tell me about some of those, because like this isn't, we want to know the ins and outs of Lisa
And
Johnson's
the ins
life.
and outs, if we're going to be completely honest about it, are if you are successful in any way, but especially if you're female and you talk about
Mm.
money, you're going to get trolls. Like you talk about money and you're female, that's why you get trolls. We're
Yeah.
always going to get that. And I've had lots of different, I'm the wealth expert for the Daily Mail. You can imagine the kind of trolling I get when I talk
Oh
about money
yeah.
there. But even online, I've had competitors troll me. I've had people that used to make all of their money through passive income and recurring revenue, decide they don't like that I'm doing that well. And so then they every single year during one to many come out with all these posts about how passive income isn't real. And it's like, well, you were teaching it for years. Like, how does it change that quickly? We've seen the lot, we've seen so
Yeah.
much, but it doesn't bother me these days. It really used to. But I think that really, if you're making waves and you're impacting people and people are doing big things, it's going to trigger some people. I mean, I
Yeah.
used to be that person that was triggered all the time by people making money. So,
Oh my God, I used to be triggered by you making money.
did you?
Yeah, massively. Like, but I also think that was one of my mindset problems when I did OTM first, because
Yeah.
I was like, she's so big, I can't be like her. She's
Yeah.
so
Well, I
massive.
used to do that. I used to look at
Yeah.
people and go, well, it's all right for her. And then I used to make up these weird excuses that were only in my head, like, well, it's okay for her because she doesn't have a chronic illness like me, or it's okay for her
Mm.
because she doesn't have twins, or she wasn't a single parent, or, I could make up anything. I said once, I remember literally telling myself, well, the only reason she's doing really well is because she's thin and pretty and I'm a size 16. She's
You're thin
ridiculous.
and pretty now, like, no. Look.
No, I don't know whether that's
I said now, to be honest, in my mind, you've always been thin and pretty,
no.
but like, I think,
But yeah, I think we will tell ourselves anything in order to justify why we aren't making money that other people are. But the reality is we all can.
and this is the thing, I think that held me back for so long. I didn't think I was the expert. I didn't think I had enough qualifications. I didn't think that people would listen to me, but I was so fucking visible. And that's the thing. It's like when you're as visible as I was, but not making the money to
Yeah,
match it, I was like, there's a disconnect here. And I think my mindset was one of the biggest things that was
definitely
holding me back.
was. Yeah, because if you don't think that you can do it, then look, having any kind of business is difficult. There's always
Mm,
going to be obstacles. It's not easy, otherwise everybody would do it. And
yeah,
so if you think, okay, I'll go through these obstacles because I know there's going to be a reward at the end. And let's say that reward was making 100,000.
yeah,
If you knew that by doing all the things that you were told to do, you would make that 100,000, you'd do it. You'd find a way through those obstacles. But if you don't believe that you're going to get there anyway, then you don't do half of the things that you know you need to do because there's no reward.
absolutely. And I think also as well, I think one of the things that put me off, because I remember before I signed up the first year, I was thinking, oh, I'll do this. But then I thought, no, I can't, because, Lisa's a millionaire. Like, there's so many steps in between me and that £1 million that
Yeah,
actually it just seems really unachievable. But I think when people sign up to Race to Recurring Revenue, which is the free challenge that goes into one to many,
yeah,
um, they kind of think, well, like, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm gonna see if I can make a bit of extra passive income, and then they see everybody else like afterwards talking about how successful they've been to like through doing the course, and then they go, oh well, I can't do that. And that is the biggest thing I think that put me off. I thought, I can't make £1 million, so I didn't do it.
what was it
And
that
then
made you think you couldn't make a million?
I mean, as somebody who's got ADHD, somebody who has multiple chronic illnesses, children, I also, until like 4 years ago, thought that I was the biggest fuck up in the world and that like I really couldn't do anything. That was ADHD. So like now that I know that my brain operates in a different way,
Yeah,
I I know I can achieve anything now,
there you
and
go.
that barrier has been taken away. But
Yeah,
also, I have a new mindset, which is one step at a time. So last year I did 100k. This year I'm on track to do 250. By the time I get to maybe 7, 8 years down the line, I probably will make it. I will be making £1 million.
Well, you definitely will be. And
Yeah.
this is the thing, I think what a lot of people do, especially when it comes to passive income or whatever you want to call it, let's not pretend that passive income is passive, because that annoys me.
Yeah,
It
it is hard work.
is hard work. In the first year, it's really hard work. And I think that recurring revenue is a better name for it, leveraged income, whatever you want to call
Yes.
it. I think that what happens is you look at other people and you go, okay, well, they're so far away from it, but we all started in the same place, like everybody. All
Yeah.
the millionaires I've made, or I've helped make, they all started in the same place, which was nowhere, with
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
And they got there. But if they'd have looked 10 steps ahead, so when I'm teaching people, for instance, about how to, let's think of your big passive income idea, what most people do, but especially my clients with ADHD, they go forward to, well, how am I going to launch it? And we're not at that point yet. And you don't need to know that
Yeah.
point yet. But
Yeah.
they'll think so far ahead that it will stop them doing point 1, because point 10 seems unachievable. And it's about bringing people back. And this is what I do with all my ADHD clients. Like, let's go back. You're not allowed to look past point 1.
Yeah.
And then you're not allowed to look past point 2. And that works really well for them.
And it's so important to remember that the people that you look at who are massively successful, they're not on day one of their journey.
No.
And half of them didn't even have a business when they came through the course.
Well,
And this is
more than
something,
half, I think, now.
yeah. And this is something that I want to talk about. So many people think, oh, I can't do one-to-many because I don't have a business.
Yeah.
Not
Isn't
true.
that?
In
Yeah.
fact, the people who are probably the most successful sometimes come with zero idea.
That's right. They come with an idea, and then when they do the program, they
Change it.
change it completely. I think you might have done that. I think
I
everyone
did.
does that.
Yeah, so I mean, like the first time I did it, I had a very, very, very strong idea of what I wanted my business to look like.
Yeah.
And my mindset was so fixed that I didn't have any flexibility in what my thought process was. When I did it for the second time and I had literally no money in my bank account and like 45 grand's worth of debt for the second time,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, I need to think about this differently. So I came up with the idea for Mad About Money, which was the app that I launched, which is still going strong. It's still really great. Doesn't make me a single penny. It's a very expensive lead magnet, but the
It is a
best
lead
place.
magnet.
It's a lead magnet, and it's the best place ever to launch a book of the same name to 10,000 people. So
Right.
I'm all good with that. But my idea wasn't even a twinkle in my eye at that point. I didn't have any idea that I wanted to focus on visibility as a thing. And for me, that was, I mean, I didn't think I was a visibility specialist. I didn't have any qualifications. I mean, then I went and did your strategy course because I thought that's going to help me to actually believe in myself
Yeah.
to be able to go out and do this thing. But I am really bloody visible. Like, I know how to get
And you
visible.
always have
Like,
been.
yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Even in my old business, I was super duper visible.
But
And
people don't realize that their knowledge isn't common knowledge. You were
yeah,
visible. You knew how to be visible, but you kind of would have thought in your head, well, no one needs to know that. Everyone knows, but they don't know.
they don't. They really don't. And my membership is testament to that. I opened the doors, I made a waiting list, and I got 70 people signed up on day one. And I thought, oh, I can actually do this.
Yeah.
And then it's grown and grown. And actually, at the moment, I'm like not really promoting it because I'm like, I need to kind of breathe and kind of like regather my thoughts before I go to the next stage.
But you see this with everybody, right? So they all do the same thing. They go, well, no one needs to know that. No one's going to pay me to know that. Or they say, well, you can get this information for free out there. But actually, it really doesn't matter. People don't want information that's just free because they don't believe it's real. No one knows what's real, what's AI, what isn't these days. What they want is information by a person that they trust because they've seen them plenty of times.
Yeah.
People see you all the time. And so they trust what you're telling them. And I think that if people only realize that the stuff in their head is so knowledgeable, and when you say about it not being necessarily about business, yours was. Visibility is about business. But there's plenty of people that I've worked with that have made millions that are nothing to do with business.
Yeah. I mean, like Lauren and there are so many people actually, aren't there? Like
so many people, Caroline, Lauren. When you think about what's business and what isn't, if you think about the hula hoopers, the fitness, the makeup, the dating, the cooking, any of that is nothing to do with business. And yet they have amazing memberships or courses in those subjects, potty
Yeah.
training for twins. Like there's so many different things that we know about that we go, oh, well, I learned about that because I read a load of books on it. And, I really needed to know how to do XXX. And other people also want to know that. They don't want to read the load of books on it. They just want you to tell them how to do it because there are a couple of steps
Yeah.
behind. And that's why if anyone ever says, I'd like to pick your brains, that means you have something to sell.
It does. It does. God, I used to get so many of those. I've actually got my own Pick Your Brains membership now, which is like the next level up from invisible to influential, where people can pick my brains whenever they want, as long as they pay me for it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Everyone always has this subject, this thing in their head that they know more about. Perhaps they've traveled around Japan and they know all the best places. It doesn't matter what it is, you will know something that someone wants to know. And we are in a boom in the knowledge industry right now, the online knowledge
Yeah.
industry. Like that's where everyone wants to find their information from. So we're in the best place to make money from our knowledge.
We are. And like with the rise of TikTok, I mean, TikTok is all about pockets of people who are interested in the same thing as you.
Yeah.
Like they literally call it tox. There is a pocket of people for every single thing known to humankind.
Mm.
So TikTok is like the best platform for growing a membership, for growing a community, for growing and getting leads and getting people to actually buy from you. And honestly, like there are so many people that I see doing things on TikTok, and I think, do you know what? You need a business behind this. All you're doing is showing up and being an influencer, and you don't have a business behind what you're doing.
Yeah, you can be making money from it.
Make some more money by starting a business behind it, and it's really, yeah. I mean, there are so many people who could be ridiculously making so much more money, and they're just not.
Oh, I see that all the time. I see people with huge audiences, and I'm like, oh, how much money have you made from that audience? And they're like, oh, I haven't monetized it. I'm like, what? Why not?
Yeah.
You have all these people following you.
Yeah, and do you know what? Like, and that was what happened with Mad About Money. But my business had changed, and I loved doing the stuff that I do now so much that it's still going. I still create content for it. I still do the thing, but I know if I had a membership for it or anything else, it would just be like a big time zapper.
Yeah.
So at the moment I don't. But the plan is that actually we are going to start doing courses and workshops and little extra paid things that people can get access to without having to spend all the extra money on the tech. So
Oh, yeah.
it will happen at some point.
Yeah.
But I think it is really important to know that, even if you are just a tiny bit more knowledgeable than somebody else on a certain thing, then you can monetize it.
And to them, that makes you the expert.
Exactly. And one of the things with people who have got ADHD and people who have got autism, they have hyper focuses and special interests.
Yeah,
so
it's a good thing.
It's a really good thing.
It's
So,
why they do really well in one-to-many.
Because passion plus purpose equals profit, right?
Absolutely.
And this is the thing, when you're going out there and talking about something that you love and you're really consistently doing it, and this is coming from me, somebody who has had many businesses that I haven't actually even liked, let alone loved.
Yeah.
When you love the thing that you do, you can make money doing absolutely anything.
Oh, yeah, you really can. And we found that, so last year was supposed to be the last year that we did my course, One-to-Many, live. And then,
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, so we were supposed to be just recording it and putting it on there. But we have such a high percentage of neurodivergent clients.
Yeah.
And they all came to me afterwards and they said, you can't do that to us because when you have any kind of neurodivergent kind of brain, we need you to show up. Otherwise, we'll just keep saying, oh, we'll do it. We'll listen to that
do it another time.
Yeah. We need you to be there and do it live so that we show up live. And we spoke to so many people who said this exact same thing.
Yeah.
And so we were like, okay, well, we love our neurodivergent clients. Like, why wouldn't we give them this? And so we're doing it live again.
Yeah, and I am so glad that you are, because I think it makes the world of difference. Like, people don't want to sit on their own, and it's the community that you get when you're learning around people.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that I've been saying to people about joining the challenge. It's not just about learning the stuff. It's about getting yourself in front of all of those other
Those
people
people.
that are doing those things, talking
Absolutely.
about your business idea, finding people who are at the same stage as you so that you can make some business friends
Yeah.
who, aren't already business owners, so you can get out there and grow at the same speed,
Yeah, because
get
it's nice doing
accountable.
that, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
nice being with people who are on the same journey as you. I think sometimes it's lonely when
Yes.
you're, working from home, or if you have a laptop, or even sometimes even if you've got a 9 to 5, it can feel really lonely. And then you find these business friends, these people on the same journey as you outside of it. And One to Many has been that place. Like, we've had people in One to Many who have met and they've stayed friends for 5 years, like these groups of people. Had, like, they were the bridesmaids at her wedding. And I love that. Like, this
Oh,
has come from just being in this place, which has such an amazing community where everyone in there really does believe in collaboration over competition. Not the
yes.
whole, like, collaboration over competition until the competition really comes along, then everything changes. Like, they really do believe it, and you see that in the amount that they help each other.
Yeah, and I think this was where my mindset really changed after doing One to Many. It was like I was so scared by anybody else who was doing even anything that is vaguely similar to me.
Yeah.
Now there's like, there are people who are in my world, like in my like, I mean, that do exactly the same thing as me. Like, take Lisa for example, like Lisa
Yeah,
Daniel.
yeah, we're
Like,
just talking, yeah.
I'm good friends with Lisa. Like, she's in my membership. She's done all my courses. She's doing the same thing as me, and I am egging her, not egging her on. That sounds really like I am.
It's the point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
We have to,
Um,
well, that's the same with me and Charlie. It's the same with me and probably half of my clients these days. Like,
yes,
we do
yeah,
similar things, and there's enough for everybody. And people
there is.
really do attract different people. Like, people come to me because of the way I teach. I teach in a very step by step way. And I don't really do fluff. So it's like, do this, then do this, then do this. And some people like that. Some people really don't like that way of doing things. And so they go
Yeah,
to other people. And that's why it works, because there
I'm not
needs to be
fluffy.
many of us.
I don't think I'm fluffy. Like, I'm also so sweary that, like, if you don't like people swearing, you're not going to like working with me because I
And yet
am
I
very.
never swear.
No, you
That's
don't.
exactly
No.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Like,
I'm just like a very, very foul mouthed, potty mouth who, I mean, I don't in certain situations, like I can control myself if there is at the right time, the right place. If I'm doing like masterclasses for other people, I'm not sweary Maddie because I am working for that person to do
yeah,
the
yeah.
thing. And there have been many podcasts that I've been on and I've been very proud of myself. But in my own sphere, in my own stuff, I am quite sweary and like,
And that's who you are. You're being
yeah,
authentic, and you're not pretending to be something you're not. And people are really attracted to that. And that
yes.
goes for everyone. Like, if you show up just as you and don't show up as this, like, version of yourself that you think you need to be on social media, then that works really well. Like, one
Yeah,
of the biggest things I say to people is to show up as if you've already been cancelled, so that you can just show up as yourself and not worry and give the opinions that you really want to give. But that is attractive to do that, because then other people relate to you.
yeah, and I think regardless of what I'm doing, I always lead with my values,
Yeah.
and that's when I'm collaborating with people, when I'm working with people on specific things. Like, I will always lead with like the same values that I would go out with if I was doing my own thing.
Yeah. And that's
Um,
important.
which I think is important, and I think there are lots of people out there who get put off starting a business because they think, well, so and so is doing really well at that, so I can't do it.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Everybody is different.
Well,
Like,
no hairdresser wakes up in the morning and goes, "Oh, I really wanted to be a hairdresser, but there's already one."
exactly that. Exactly that. As long as you're not going along to somebody's course, literally stealing all of their
Yeah.
content, going and doing it exactly the same way, then
That's
you
plain.
are good. You're golden. I even say to people, look, go and watch your competitors' TikToks. Go and see what they're talking about, see what works, and then talk about it in your way because
Yeah, yeah.
you are you and people will buy from you because they relate to you and your story. Everybody's story is different. And one of the things as well for growing an audience, you have to be visible.
You
Like,
do.
it's you can have the best business idea in the whole world. It can be really great, but if you're talking to nobody, you're going to sell to nobody.
Yeah.
So
You have to
that's
grow an
where.
audience, and there are different ways to do it. I've
Yeah,
many introverts who make money.
Yes.
They do it their way. There are different ways to do it. You don't have to be like that
Mm,
extrovert, always out
no.
there, always being loud. It doesn't work that way. Like the right people will be attracted to you because you're an introvert. They will go,
Yes.
"Oh, she's a bit like
Yeah.
me," and that's what people are looking for. So don't feel you have to be a certain type of person to be visible either.
No, no, you really don't. And also it's about being visible at the right time. A lot of my clients come to me and then they're not ready to share their stories yet because they're in a place where it's still a bit raw, or they're kind of nursing something which maybe isn't quite right to be spoken about at this moment in time.
Yeah.
But I work with people to help them to come out of that and go out the other side. But let's talk about like some of the other reasons why people should come along and do the challenge. I mean, like, first of all, it's free. I mean, like, the
It is.
value that you give in there, you
Yeah.
could charge thousands of pounds for that
And people
just
have
for the
told me
free
to,
challenge. Yeah.
because we every single year have a large number of people. They do the challenge. They don't come into one to many. Not everyone can afford to, and I totally get that. And
Mm,
so they take what they can from the challenge, and then they make a lot of money, like 10K months plus. And people have come to me and tell me that. And then sometimes they come in to one to many the next year once they've made all the money from it. And I love that. Like, that's all good. And believe in integrity and giving value where you can. So come in because it's free, and it might
yeah.
not be free forever because lots of people are now telling me that it needs to be charged for.
Well, it's your
Um,
time. So,
yeah, I know, and I get it, but my big thing this year is impact,
mm,
and I impact the most people I impact is during this challenge, and so it's worth it for me. So I think come in for that. Come in to meet everybody else, but also come in because it will give you so many ideas. Like on day
yeah.
one, when people are like, "What's your passive income idea?" There's so many ideas, and everyone sits there going, "Oh my God, I could definitely do that." Like, "Oh yeah, I know that." And it makes you realize you know more than you think.
Mm,
And I do tell you literally step by step how to make money from passive income, recurring revenue, whatever you want to call it, in that challenge.
yeah. I just think if you're stuck and you're thinking, I'm in a job that I don't like, because I mean,
Yeah.
let's face it. I mean, especially with the neurodivergent people
Mm.
out there, I had such a terrible time in the workplace. Bullied for years. Like, you've had it as well, haven't you? Where
I
you've been
have, yeah.
bullied at work, and it's horrible when you have to go in and sit there and do a job that you really hate when actually you could be doing something for
Yeah,
yourself,
but I think people
managing
don't
your own day.
realise that how much easier it is to do it yourself. Yes, it's gonna be hard for a few months. Let's not pretend that after the first month you're gonna be making a ton of money. But I
Yeah.
started my recurring revenue journey while in my 9 to 5. I was still in my 9 to 5 after I'd made about 500,000. I
Were
was still
you?
in my 9 to 5. Yeah, I didn't
Oh my
leave because
god.
I was like, "I can do this in my part-time and make this money." And I always had this scarcity mindset because I come from poverty. I grew up in a
Yeah.
council house. So I always had this thing, what if it all disappears? I need my 9 to 5 job, it's stable. And it was only after someone said to me, "You've made how much? And why are you still going to work?" That I was like, yeah, this is a bit stupid now.
Yeah.
That I gave up that job and thought, yeah, actually, this could be a thing that I just do forever. I don't need a 9 to 5 job, but it took me a while to leave. And I'm not a big believer in doing the big leap. People say, like, just leave your job and start your own business. I don't think that's a great idea. I think it's better
No.
to do both for a while to make
Slowly,
enough
yeah.
money. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I hadn't started my first business when I left my corporate job, but that's because I got made redundant and I had 3 months worth of money to kind of lean myself up on. And
Yeah.
then when that had gone, I was earning enough to be able to stay self-employed. My husband gave me like the ultimatum. He was like, "You've got 3 months. Whenever this doesn't work anymore and you can't afford to contribute," because me and my husband, like, despite the fact that he used to earn more than me,
Yeah.
um, used to earn, like, when we were both employed, he used to earn a lot more than me.
Yeah.
And now I earn a lot more than he does. But we've always had it where we both pay 50-50.
Yeah.
Like, even in times like, but and we've also got separate finances, which a
Yeah.
lot of people think is weird. But I had bad credit rating when we first got together. Then he had bad credit rating. Now I've still got bad credit rating from when my business went under. So, like, we just protect each other and,
Yeah.
like, we bounce off each other. But, like, when he said to me, "You've got 3 months to make this work," And if there is ever a time where you can't make the monthly mortgage payment, you go and get a job. And I
Yeah.
stuck to that. There have been 2 points in the last 8 years where I've gone and got a job. The first one was when I was pregnant with my second, and I went and got a job, and I got fired within 3 weeks because of my morning sickness. Because I
Oh
found out I was
gosh.
pregnant just as I'd started, and then they were
Yeah.
like, they said I wasn't very good at the job, which is a load of bullshit. And I actually managed to get 10 grand in compensation out of that because they were
Brilliant.
very, very unscrupulous, and they put in an email that they were firing me because of my morning sickness. Winner. And then the second time was when my business went under and I had to go and work for somebody else to, do the handover. The worst, horrible, most grim situation of my life, like watching somebody take my baby, not my literal baby, but like the business that I'd spent
Yeah.
the last 5 years building. And they asked me to be CEO, and I told them to go fuck themselves because I really did not want to work for somebody else seeing
No.
my business grow. So I had to walk away. And that was the point where one to many for me was like penny
Yeah.
drop, light bulb moment. I wrote down all of the things I was good at and I picked the things. And there was just this recurring theme of like, I'm really good at getting in the press. I'm really good at speaking on stages. I'm really good at being on other people's podcasts, and I'm good at doing videos. And like, I'm like, what do all of these things have in common?
Oh yeah, there's this honestly. Yeah.
Okay, I can see it, ironically.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just carried on with that, and I don't think I have ever been more happy. We're about to move out of our crappy 2 bedroom, 2 one up, 2 down, like horrible. Like the kids have been sharing a bedroom since they were born. We are
This is
now
it. This is why I love one to
this
many.
this
These
is
stories.
this is why we are now, like, I am now in the next 2 weeks going to be debt free. I've got a tiny bit left, but it's going to go. We are buying. We're not even upgrading to a 3 bedroom house. We're upgrading to a 3 bedroom house, and we're converting a loft.
Nice.
So we're going to have a really nice house, which is prime location for everything. It's big enough for me to hold my own strategy days in, which I'm really excited. You know,
Yeah.
when you do all your like, come to my house, and everyone's like, yeah, I want to go to Lisa's house because it's really nice. I mean, mine is not going to be that nice, but it's still not going to be this grubby house where I'm like, don't look at anything because I'm so embarrassed that I'm here. So when you make that next level up step, it's really
And
exciting.
it just gives you more
Um,
choices. But
it
these are the
does.
stories. These are the stories that make me love what I do. Because
Yeah.
in any year, I'll have hundreds of people come to me and give me stories about, I was in this place that I really had to leave, or I've had 3 people that were homeless and now aren't.
Mm,
So like amazing things that people have done, and people who have wanted to put their kids into different schools because they were getting bullied, but the private schools were too expensive, and they've made money
yeah.
from one to many to be able to do it. All of those things, because for me, it's not about money. It's about the choices that money gives
Yes.
you. And what you can do for your family with that, because I believe that we all deserve an extraordinary life.
We do. But you know what? Again, it's like even with the business money. So one of the things that changed for me last year wasn't just the amount of money that I was making. The membership that I launched became almost like a lifeline for me and for other people. And when you're helping the same group of people that know, like, and trust you because they've got the same values as you, they've got the same principles and actually the same outlook on life, those people that came to me, they also needed my support. I didn't realize how much I needed their support as well.
Mm,
And for me, that was really game changing, and it actually helped me to be more authentic and more honest.
yeah.
And people who are in similar situations to me, who might think, "Oh, I can't run a membership because I've got a chronic illness or I've got something that stops me from showing up all the time." Just be honest with your people, because I
Yeah.
thought that my membership would be like, oh no, Maddie's not showing up enough. We're going to leave. But the fact that I over deliver when I'm able to, and there's always a stack of masterclasses, there's always a stack of things that I've learned, that I can train people on.
Mm.
And when I am able to show up, I show up
That's what
200%.
people want. It's about managing
Yeah.
expectations.
Yes. Yeah, I'm being honest. And if you've got a community of people who are all disabled, like sometimes they're not going to show up either,
No, I get
and
that.
that's okay. And I,
Mm.
I think there are lots of barriers. So you've got the mindset, you've got imposter syndrome. I mean, my imposter syndrome before I started a membership was like, oh, well, are people actually going to like this thing? Is it going to be useful? Is it going to be something that they're going to want to learn about? And my God, was it like, and the good thing about starting a low cost membership is the amount of upsells that you can do.
Yeah.
So, the membership was the thing that changed my income, and it gave me that passive. So basically every month that I wake up,
There's
I
money
don't
coming in.
I don't have to start from scratch. I
Yeah.
already know that I've got at least 3 grand coming in from my membership. I know that I've got all my recurring payments coming in from Amplify Your Influence. I know I've got, all of my one-to-one clients, and I'm trying to move away a little bit from one-to-one. And this is another reason why, if you've already got an established client base of one-to-ones, you're not going to be able to, you're going to get to that glass ceiling
Well,
where
you
actually,
do, yeah. That's why I started, because I got to that glass ceiling. I was like, this can't be a business model that works.
yeah. And I'm at the point where, like, now I am maxed out with one-to-one clients. I cannot physically, unless they invent another eighth day of the week, I'm not here for it. I just can't do it. So I have to do things which are more group programs. And actually, I love training. I love being out there. I love helping people and getting them to the place where they need to be. And for my clients, they're all neurodivergent, and actually money doesn't often come into it. All they want to do is they want to make a little bit of extra money so that they can feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
Most of them aren't after being a millionaire. They're not even after being a six-figure business. They just want to earn enough so that they don't have to go back to work.
And that's how I started. I just wanted to
Yeah.
cover the 2,000 so I didn't have to, have that worry of if I ever lost that job.
Yeah. Let's talk about that, because like £2,000, a lot of people will see that as a very large investment.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
But
But it's a large
the
investment. Let's not pretend it's not. It is
let's
a
not
large
pretend it's not.
investment,
Yeah.
but it is an investment. That's
Yeah.
the difference. Like, we can waste money on so many things, but something
Yeah.
that's going to teach us how to make the most of our skills so that we can make more
Mm,
money in a
yeah.
smarter way, I believe is worth it.
But if you're going to get to a point where you make 100 grand in your first year, which is what I did, and I'm not special. You're not special. I mean, we are
No.
special. We're special needs
In our own way.
in our own way. We're very special people, but we're not. Neither of us were born into money. We don't
No.
have things handed to us on a silver spoon. We just know the right strategy to do it,
Yeah.
and we get out there and we make ourselves visible. And
Yeah.
combined, like that's a crazy concoction where you can really make the money.
Yeah.
So it's an investment, but if you do it right and you follow the steps, that investment will come back to you tenfold, 20-fold, almost 100-fold in my case.
Yeah.
And actually, I mean, that's not even counting the money that I even with my business that failed, I still made that money back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
it's
people do. Like, of course, we have some people. Let's start being more honest about stuff. We have some people that don't. There are
yeah,
some people that do this course, and for whatever reasons, they don't finish it, or they get halfway through and they think it's going to be too hard for them,
mm,
or life gets in the way, and they just don't do it. They don't actually implement what they've learned. Those people don't make money from it. And there
yeah,
will always be some people like that in everything that you do.
yeah,
And it's not through any fault of their own a lot of the time. It's because, life happens. It does get in the way, but it's why we give lifetime access. So
mm,
we often have people come back to us 4-5 years after saying, I've been waiting to be a success story for so long, and now I've made the 20K or the 40K or whatever it is that
yeah,
you've made. And it's so nice for us to see that. And it's why we've always kept it lifetime access, because we know life gets in the way. Like, not, you can't always make money the first time you do it. You even said you came in twice.
yeah,
Right? And what we find really interesting is that some people, even though you get lifetime access, come in and pay an alumni price to come in
yeah.
again. And the only reason they do that is because the support in there.
And the community,
Yeah.
and also it's like a body doubling thing. Like,
Yeah.
especially for the neurodivergents, we like to do it again. And like every time I want to launch a new product, I go and do it again. I'm like,
They go through it
right,
all
how am I
again.
doing this? Because also ADHD brain, I often forget things, and I'm like, how do I do? Oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, there's still the one thing which I still never get is the funnels. Like, I don't think, no matter how many times you teach me how to
That's
do
why we do
funnels,
it for you.
exactly that. Exactly that. That's why Shelley does it for me. I'm like, I don't know how to to do it. Like, I don't want to know how to do it. I'm like, I have
Yeah.
no interest. Like, but this is the thing. Like, you get to the point where you are at that level and you can afford to pay somebody to help you with the things that you don't like, so that you can
Or
focus on the things that you do, and then you can fly.
yeah, exactly that.
So for anybody who is on the fence, who's thinking maybe it's a bit too expensive, or maybe it's just not for me, or maybe I don't have a business, what would you say to them
I'd say
to get them to
don't
do it?
worry about if it's too expensive, don't buy it, first of
Yeah,
all. Like, I'm really good with that. Like, I believe in transparency, and I think that if you're struggling for money, I don't believe that you should be buying expensive things like
no,
courses. But what I would say is do the free challenge. Like, you'll get something
absolutely.
out of it anyway. Even if you
Yeah,
can't afford to come into the program, I'm going to tell you how to make money in it. So you may as well do that and see how far you can get.
yeah, 100%. Lisa, it's been a pleasure having you for the
Oh,
second time.
mhm.
I'm really excited, but like before we finish, I want to know, because lots of things have changed in your business. Like,
Mhm.
you've got a new podcast, like everything's new and shiny. Like, since we spoke last, you've got like your franchise. Like, tell me all of the stuff, like all the
Yeah,
new
actually,
stuff.
it's the opposite. I have scaled everything back so that I can do the
Ooh,
fun things that I want to do.
nice,
So yeah, we obviously have made 20 million over the past few years. And then we got to a point where we were like,
tiny, tiny.
a little amount. And then we got to this point where we were like, okay, but are we doing everything we want to do? I'm like, well, no, we'd like to do this, this, and this, and they might not make as much money.
Yeah,
And so we scaled everything back. So I closed down a 20,000 person Facebook group and number one podcast that had literally, overtaken Stephen Bartlett one week on the charts. Like, it was a
good.
great
He needs to be
podcast.
brought down a peg or two.
There were lots of things. I closed a whole business, that Strategy Co, that was making multi six figures on its own. And I just
Mm,
closed it all because I think money is a great thing, but money has to have a purpose. And for me, it's about impact. And
yeah,
so, I've done the money thing. I've got where I need to be with the money. And so now it's about how can I make the most impact? And that actually means for me making less money for a while.
yeah.
So, whereas normally we say we want 4 or 5 million per year, we don't have that goal this year, because there's other stuff that what I want to do, charitable stuff that has nothing to do with me making money.
Nice. Nice. And you brought your husband in. Like,
Yeah,
how is that? Like,
good. I mean, to be fair, he's been working for me for 6 years.
just
So
very slowly and like in the background, so
in the
no one knows
background,
about him.
yeah. And now he's membership manager, which he's been
Yeah.
membership manager before a few years ago, and he's come back to doing that, which he loves.
Okay.
So yeah, it's all working brilliantly. And obviously my sister works for me, my two best friends work for me, my family and friends work for me, which we love. But yeah, streamlining has made things easier for me to be really clear on actually who do I want to help and how
Yeah.
can I help them more. Like, we closed down a mastermind that was making me over 500,000 a year because it meant that I was helping only 26 people, and in that time I could help 300.
Yeah.
So for me now, it's not just about the income, but it was for a while. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, make the money first and then
Yeah.
decide what impact you want to have.
Yeah. Well, absolute pleasure having you on. I will probably see you this time next year for an update. Seeing as I love having you on my podcast, it's always really interesting to talk. But yeah, really excited to be working with you on this as always. So for anybody who's enjoyed this podcast, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, share with your friends. If you see us on social media, give us a follow. Maddie Talks Money on Instagram, Maddie Alexander-Grout on TikTok, and I'm just Maddie Alexander-Grout everywhere else. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time.